everybody, and welcome back to the third installment of the NERDCAST. I'm once again joined here with Steven.
How's your duty?
Excuse me?
How's your duty?
Oh, it's pretty good. It's going pretty good. I guess you could say it was a Cold War. That's a Call of Duty joke.
But
What'd you say?
no, I just made the drum set noise. Oh,
jeez. So, I guess to kind of kick things off, we have a lot of good things to talk about today, but we're on Apple Podcasts. And we have 19 downloads in the last week of being on there. That was a lot less tricky than I thought it was going to be. So, yeah, that's good.
I'm pretty pumped. It was funny too, because like I just like kind of posted it on my Facebook just to kind of get like, you're like, hey, we're on Apple Podcasts now. Hey, check us out if you want to. And I had a couple people go, "Are you on Spotify?" And I was like, "Well, no."
That's the next school. I guess it's very hard to get on Spotify from everything I've heard.
Yeah, that's what you've been saying.
I mean, from the sharing site that we're using, because to get on like a podcast streaming service, you need to go through basically I'm trying to think of the right word to say it. A sharing site where then it takes the RSS feed, which stands for really simple syndication, and shares it to like that URL to Apple Podcasts or Spotify or anything like that using distribution methods. And Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, we have the ability to get on Amazon Music, Castbox, which I've never heard of, Deezer, never heard of that, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, Geo's Vaughn, I don't know. But I guess the next step would be to get onto Spotify, which I think might be realistic. I would say if we get up to 5, I think you need 5. Okay. If I read that correctly, 5 live podcasts to get onto Spotify. And considering this is the third, so maybe by mid-September we might be on Spotify.
Yeah. It's our next step, baby.
Yeah. But I guess quick shout out to your fiance before we even jump into it here. Happy birthday. We're recording it on her birthday.
It's almost not her birthday right now.
What's up?
It's almost not her birthday right now.
Oh yeah, we have 40 minutes until it's not her birthday. We have the bad habit of starting after 11 o'clock, and usually we do it on Fridays. But last night I had a massive headache, so we're recording it on a Saturday, August 29th. So by the time this comes out, it might be September 1st. So, welcome to fall, I guess.
Welcome to fall, baby.
But I guess let's go ahead and get started with the State of Nerdologist. What happened this week with, Nerdologist? I know we posted the podcast. You've been working on a few videos, and you've also been streaming.
So I actually haven't streamed. Oh, wait. No, I streamed.
You streamed last
Wednesday?
Sunday.
Was that last Sunday? It was last Sunday. I didn't get a chance to stream this week. It's been pretty crazy. So I didn't really get a chance this week to stream. However, I did work on a video for like 5 hours. And I accidentally deleted the file. And now it's gone. So I have to literally start from scratch again.
I have the file.
Well, but I can't. So like the problem is I'm having a hard time finding it. So like I found out like all the specs and stuff because I taught myself how to use Adobe Premiere because my Mac is starting to bed and I can't use iMovie on there, which I would love to. But what sucks is I'm trying to teach myself how to use it, which it's really not too different. But the problem I came across is like whenever you go to export it, you actually have to choose exactly what you want. So like Apple, it just does everything for you and it comes out in one format because that's how Apple does things. They're like, hey, you either do it our way or you don't.
Yeah.
Which it's user friendly. But like for Adobe, you have to choose like the resolution, what the file type is, how big you want it to be. But anyway, so I like researched and did. Even Zach was helping me too. Like finding exactly what is YouTube friendly. So I did exactly that, and it came out so blurry. So I have to figure out what the hell's going on with that and how to actually export it. So once I do that, that's fine, but I can't export that same file to clear it up. So I literally have to remake the video to export it.
Jeez.
Yeah,
I
but
know. Are you trying to export an MP4?
yeah, so you can't really just do an MP4. I forget what it is on Adobe. It's like .h.264, something like that.
Is it whenever because we use to record the podcast, Craig bought on Discord. Is it like that .h.234 something like
yeah,
HTML4 something like weird like that?
something like that, yeah.
Yeah, we had because I remember the first time we recorded with Craig bought on here, we had to export. I tried exporting a bunch of different files, but the easiest one to work with what ended up being that one. So it exports. I mean, as it exports both our audio files separately, so it works out in the end. But yeah, it's a little tricky.
Yeah, so that's my goal. I was trying to have that video out. Like I was thinking either Thursday or Friday of last week. So that's not going to happen anymore, obviously. But um, I'm trying to. I have to record the gameplay again, so I have to do that and then just kind of piece it together. So I'm hoping to have it up like this following week, but we'll see how that goes.
Do you want to know what the listener? Do you want to give them a hint as to what it is? Do you want to just want to tell them what it is, or do you want to keep it a secret?
No, it's fine. I'm still working on the control one. Kind of like what I have planned for it. So like I'm not doing like reviews, but like I'm trying to like make a blend of like comedy and like trying to like I'm trying to make a video series where it's like, why haven't you played this game yet?
Yeah.
And for selfish reasons, I'm trying to do games that I like so I can, but again, it's for comedic reasons. If I can make it play out right. So that's taken up a lot more time than I expected, and I'm trying to play through Control again, which is the first game I'm going to do it on. I'm trying to like play through it again so I can get the feel of it, and I want to write the script the way I want it to be, and I don't want to just kind of go in and be like, oh, like have like a splotchy memory on what the game is. The game's a lot to take in.
You want it to be fresh in your mind, pretty much.
Yeah. So in the meantime, I did a so kind of like a first impressions video of Battletoads on PC. I had never played Battletoads before, and this game like threw me through a loop because I went into it just kind of like, I'll just kind of do like a first impressions of it. I'm probably not going to care for it too much. Oh my god, did I get so addicted to it?
It's tough, but like it's kind of like that fair tough where you're like, it makes sense. That was my mistake.
You know what? Like I thought I was gonna, because I usually get my beat on beat 'em ups, even though I love them, and I really didn't. I think the only time I died were on the speeder bike levels, but I'll save that for the video.
Yeah, but so the last time we recorded a podcast, you had not streamed yet. So how far have you gotten? I know you beat Crash 2. So how far have you gotten into Crash 3?
I'm about to beat an trophy, so that's what Warp Room 3?
Number 1's Tiny. Number 2 is Dingo Tile.
Yeah.
And then 3, Entropy.
Yeah. So that's where I'm at right now. I think I'm like on Road Crash or something like that.
And so you have until October 2nd to 100% it. Which is roughly, today is going to be the 30th. Whenever this comes out, you're probably looking at a little, maybe a day or two over a month. Till that comes out.
We'll see how it happens. I'm definitely not going to make it to Wrath of Cortex or Twin Sandy at this point. But that doesn't mean I can't do them later on, though.
Yeah, Twin Sanity is going to be a tough one to. It's a long game in general, and it gets very tedious at the midway point, I'd say.
Yeah, pretty much.
If I remember correctly, like you do those ice levels with Uka Uka, like whenever you had that boss fight, and then kind of from there, like for me, it was always downhill. I don't really remember even playing the like school section, Nina's school.
Oh yeah,
Evil Academy or whatever it's called. I don't really remember that.
I remember bits of it. I mainly remember the crash levels whenever like that goo's rising and you have to make your way to the top.
Yeah, I remember that. That was way too tricky for like a 8-year-old to be playing. But so do you have any plans for streaming this week? We can go ahead and plug the Twitch and YouTube. We kind of already did the YouTube with kind of what's coming out.
Yeah, I'm gonna attempt to. I'm obviously gonna play more of Crash 3s because I want to beat that. So this week I want to try and play a little bit of Crash 3. I really want to try and get some Fall Guys in there still. I'm trying to get Kylie and Zach to kind of fall in line with that so I can stream with them. But it's been tricky with my work schedule and everything because by the time I come home, make dinner and do the dishes and stuff, it's already like 8:00. So it's been tough trying to juggle all that, but I'll try and find time to do it. I think next weekend I should have more time to stream. So.
Yeah, I definitely feel you on the dinner aspect because there's some nights where my girlfriend gets home at 6 and I'm an awful cook. So we've been doing HelloFresh by the suggestion of Steven and your fiance. We don't even turn on the oven until like almost 8:00 some nights.
Yeah,
and then we eat tough. We eat at like 9:30, and because we have the dogs and everything like that. But like it's hard to find time. So just kind of as a reminder, like we've been pretty consistent on these podcasts, and I'm sure we'll continue to be consistent. We might take a week off here or there. I'm assuming, depending on personal lives and stuff like that.
Too, yeah.
But we both work full-time jobs. Our significant others work full-time jobs. So you guys got to keep that in mind.
All right. And news-wise, what do you got for us this week, Dylan?
You still there?
Yep.
It cut out for a second, but we're gonna leave that in because I'm not editing it out. Were you saying anything?
No. So news-wise, what do you got for us this week?
Oh, so big announcement on the Crash Bandicoot front. I mean, I guess big announcement. What was the game?
It was bigger than I thought. I'm sorry. No, I said it was bigger than I thought it was because whenever you told me about it, I was like, "Huh, yeah, that sounds really stupid." And then whenever I actually looked at it, I'm like, "No, I'm interested now."
Yeah, it kind of for me like Crash is that 3D platformer. With what they announced is basically strictly a 2D platforming. For Crash. The Flashback Files, I think, is the name that they're going with for it.
I have it pulled up here on IGN. It is Flashback Levels.
Okay. So I guess from my understanding, and I don't know the video game show that was on. Do you know what the name of that is?
It was games on. Let me take a look here. Gamescom.
Okay, so Gamescom. I was watching it on Thursday because I work from home, and had it on the background. They're like, "Oh, new Crash trailer," because I kind of they hinted. I mean, they didn't hint at it. They blatantly said it on Wednesday. There's gonna be a new Crash trailer tomorrow. I was expecting like more gameplay, and I guess we did get gameplay. But they announced the flashback levels, which are levels that take place like kind of whenever Cortex pre Crash Bandicoot 1 is running Crash and Coco through their tests as like mutants, right?
Yeah. I have it up here real quick. Let me take a look and see. So essentially, they're not going to have Death Run levels like how they did in Crash 2 and 3, like where you would not die up to a certain point, usually towards the end of the level. And then you would go on a separate route to get a gem. And obviously, like the difficulty like spikes from there. So they're not going to have that in Crash 4, but instead, in homage to those levels, players are going to discover VHS tapes in various points in the level. I'm still thinking it's probably close to the end.
Yeah.
But on IGN, this is what they have. They said when players play these levels, they will navigate some particularly challenged test chambers because, well, they are actually tests. These levels are presented as VHSs with Dr. Cortex's voiceover commenting on Crash and Coco's performance from the experiments back before the events of the original Crash Bandicoot. If you actually watch like the gameplay footage, it's all shot through like a static, like
a CTR,
yeah,
or CRT,
like a CRT camera, and at the bottom they actually have a date on it. I think it was like January 1st, 1996. So yeah. I probably think they're gonna scatter those up until September. I think September 1996 is when the first Crash game got released.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if you count that as, I think September 9th, 1996, so we're coming up on that date, which will be 24 years, roughly.
Yeah.
But I'm interested in it. And did you see the little teaser for Crunch in it?
Yeah, I think it was like I think it was like towards the end of one of the levels. I can't remember if it was Crash or Coco. But towards the end, yeah, like on the back screens, like they usually just have Cortex's face. They had Crunch's face, which I'm like extremely, extremely intrigued by that because that means Crunch existed way before Wrath of Cortex, which would have been in a different timeline.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's really interesting because, I mean, you could, I guess, it's tough to say because in Wrath of Cortex they call him like his like cyber enhanced brother or something like that. I mean, it could literally be Crash Bandicoot's brother, like legitimately, I guess.
So hear me out. So I still think my theory might take place, and yeah. So just hear me out in this theory. So like, I think. So like just from playing the original games, like you have to beat the game 100 and like 104% on each game to get the actual ending to the game.
Yeah,
which crosses over to the next. So like for Crash 1, you have to be 104% to actually rescue Tawna. Otherwise, you just beat Cortex and you don't rescue Tawna, which is actually the whole point of that game. And then that's when Crash escapes.
Yep.
In Crash 2,
on the back of a vulture.
Right. And then like on Crash 2, you have to beat 104%, and then you blow up the Cortex Vortex, and then that falls from the sky, which is the intro to the third game. And if you beat Crash 300%, that's when you send Cortex and Entropy back in time.
Yep, and their
or
babies.
right. So I think that the Wrath of Cortex timeline is if you just beat the first 3 Crash games without collecting everything and getting the actual ending. And I think
Yeah.
that is the timeline of where Wrath of Cortex comes and, such and such.
And it goes real downhill.
Right, because then
like a 20-year punishment.
Yeah, so I think that if you beat the game 100% is the ending we get for Crash 4. Like I think that's what Crash 4 is based off of.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree. I think your theory is pretty spot on.
I'm having a hard time believing because I know Canadian Guy A had mentioned that Crash 4, this is a new Crash. Like it's not the same Crash that we or something like that. He said this is like a new Crash from a different dimension or something like that.
Yeah.
And see, I can't stand by that because if it's the same Crash from the original trilogy, which would kind of hint why it's called Crash 4, I think it's the same Crash.
Yeah, so let's just kind of get this out of the way first. Our feelings on Canadian Guy A align with each other, and maybe not the rest of the Crash Bandicoot community. We both, and I won't speak for you, Steven. I feel as if he really grasps at straws for all his theories, for a lot of his videos, and he has a platform which is great. And he's a big Crash Bandicoot YouTuber, and that's mainly what he does. And he has contacts at Activision, and whenever CTR was coming out, Beanox and everything like that. But I am not his biggest fan, because it seems like what really turned me off from him is whenever he was like, okay, new Crash Bandicoot coming at what's it called, Game Awards, and then new Crash Bandicoot coming in March, and then April, and then wait, maybe in May, and then it's definitely coming in June, and then they announced it in June, and now like he's like, I was right. I'm like, ugh, okay, sure, you're right, the 4th time. So I just don't really take his word. I take his words with a grain of salt. Seems like a decent guy. His videos I can sit through and watch to kind of get that gameplay aspect of the new game coming out, but whenever it's a theory video, I skip it almost every single time.
Yeah, which is fair, but I just have a hard time. Like, I think that like the Crash that's in Wrath of Cortex and the Crash that's in Crash 4, I think that it's the same Crash, but it's just different timelines.
Yeah, I
That's my
definitely agree. I definitely agree, and I think as long as it doesn't get as convoluted as the Legend of Zelda timelines, I'm okay.
Yeah,
I can understand 2 timelines. Whenever you get like to 6 different breaching paths where Link died in this one, but he didn't die in this one, he survived, and yeah, that's too much.
Yeah, I agree.
But hopefully we didn't lose any listeners from my little rant on CGE, I guess is what he calls himself. But if he wants to ever collaborate, I'm down to do it. I'm sure Steven's down to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But I would, me, Steven, I would tell him it straight to his face. But I don't want to burn any bridges here or anything like that. It's just I'm not a big fan of theorizing stuff. I love conspiracy theories and all that kind of stuff, but like whenever it's something like I was right, and it's like, okay, sure. But kind of moving on from there, geez, where do we go from there?
We could go straight to I'm trying to think what if there's actually any game. There is one thing I wanted to mention that so they had we had talked about how they delayed Halo Infinite,
Mhm.
like from the Series X launch. So
Yeah.
there's actually a lot of movement going around. The developers are 343 Industries. Um,
Okay. So it's not Bungie anymore.
oh no, Bungie hasn't had them, God, since 2011, 2012.
Well, that shows how much I actually know about Halo and Xbox in general.
Yeah, Bungie does Destiny now.
Oh yeah. Okay, I knew that.
Yeah,
I thought
so
they were doing both of them for some reason, but
no, I mean they're similar in some aspects, but no, yeah, they haven't had Halo in quite some time. But so they had some management shift around,
mhm.
and I think forgive me, I don't remember his name. I think his first name is Joe, but he was like the creative lead for the writing for the first three Halo games. They actually brought him back, so he's um, part of their management team now, and there's been a lot of shifting around. So I don't know if there's something going on with like the development team, um, like like I don't know. There's something weird going on, but now like there's even rumors saying that because Xbox's whole thing. Like their whole slogan right now is that you can play their games on any Xbox device anywhere. So like um the first year Xbox Series X is out, you're going to be able to play all of the first party titles um, and anything that's supported on both Xbox One and Xbox Series X and PC.
As long as it's a Microsoft PC. I mean, every PC is a Microsoft. I don't know very many people running Linux anymore.
Yeah. So so that's their whole thing is like, hey, like you can play first party titles on anything that you can run the games on. So now there's rumors going around that they're just going to cut ties completely with Xbox One and just make the game for Xbox Series X. Um, and I think there's some people slightly upset about it, but I think, in my opinion, that might be best. Um, because if they don't get this Halo right, it's going to be a big problem for them. Because,
Yeah.
I mean, like, this is their flagship title. If they get this wrong, 343 is going to be in big trouble. But on top of that, I think they should do that because they need this game to run efficiently as possible. And if that means like it should only like if they can spend more time making this game run perfect on an Xbox Series X with like full blown specs. I mean, this thing is like a low tier gaming PC. So like this is gonna be
Yeah.
powerful. So like if they can make it run 100% like so efficient on that, I'm all for that. Cut ties with Xbox One. I mean, they need to sell their new console. Plus it's coming out like right now there's actually like there's a listing for that game on Steam already. So it's coming to PC. So like do you want that game to run better on a PC or do you want that game to run better on your Xbox? You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I think their biggest concern with maybe putting it on the Xbox, I can't even remember. I have such a bad memory, and you just probably said it 90 times. I'm sorry. The newest Xbox.
Oh, Xbox
Um,
Series X.
yep. So if they run it on that, it feels like from a marketing perspective, they might feel like they're alienating everybody who's had an Xbox One for the last 5+ years, right? I don't even know when an Xbox One came out. I think it was in college, so definitely 5+ years. That being said, I think that might be their only concern, but it might be um, like a Breath of the Wild situation where they release it on both, but the one for the one might just be incredibly toned down. Because I really don't know anybody who owns Breath of the Wild for the Wii U.
See, now but here's the thing, like now that is a very good like good comparison between those two.
Mhm.
But the only problem is there is such a technological jump between the Xbox One, the Xbox Series X.
Yeah,
So like the Wii U and the Switch, are pretty similar in hardware. So like porting those games over or having like a version of either one come out like simultaneously really isn't a problem because they're actually not doing too much for the game. It's just what they both have different hardware, so like it just has to the game has to be able to run on both. But
Yeah.
like for this, they have to develop it for Xbox One and then build it up essentially. So like the new Xbox is going to have ray tracing.
Hmm.
Which I mean, lighting is like unbelievable in ray tracing. And it's gonna have a solid state drive, so it's gonna be super fast. Like this console can run 3 games at once simultaneously, and you can switch between all 3 games, like with just a touch of a button. So like, um, the games that run on Series X are going to be
Hmm.
like so far in advance. Like it has 12 teraflops, and I think the Xbox One has 3 or maybe even less than that. So like that's the problem they're encountering. So like they can't make this game for Series X and then port it down because then the Xbox One's gonna have a hard time running that game.
So basically, for them to do the Breath of the Wild situation, they have to make 2 different Halo games for 2 different consoles.
Yeah, I mean, we even ran into a problem like that this generation, and it was a game that came out for that console. So like when Control came out,
Hmm.
Control is such a graphically like powered game. Like it's beautiful. I'll give it that. But it actually cannot run on a base PS4. It can, but it crashes because like when there's too much going on at once on the game, it crashes on the base PS4.
Huh. That's pretty wild because the PS4 and the Xbox are supposed to be like heavyweights, and if it's crashing, I mean that says a lot about that game then, because that obviously must have some insane, capabilities going on within the game that the programmers have programmed into it. If it's able to crash, one of those consoles.
Yeah, because like it runs fine on a PS4 Pro.
Hmm.
Um, it plays very well on the Xbox One X, which is like the most powerful console to date right now. Um, and then I just recently got up my on my PC. What was it? Thursday, and that's probably where it plays best. And like comparing the two is just insane.
Hmm.
But um, that's pretty much all I have to say about Halo. But I think their best route is to just drop the Xbox One because they need to sell this new console.
Yeah, I think they're gonna really. I mean, they got beat this last console generation, and a console that came out 2+ years into its lifespan, into Xbox's lifespan, to Switch, whooped it.
Right. And like I'm still standing by like Xbox doesn't really need to sell consoles to make a profit because right now like they're so heavily like subscription based, which I like in my opinion, but they're so heavily like subscription based that they don't need this console to sell, I guess technically. I guess I should step back on my words, but um I honestly think that if they did this, they would sell more consoles because there's a lot of people out there who went from the original Xbox 360, and then they skipped Xbox One and they went straight to PS4. So you need to
Yeah.
give these people a reason that who own a PS4 right now to come back to Xbox
Hmm.
because the people that are sticking with PlayStation right now who will offer they're making you upgrade. Like there is no backwards compatibility with PlayStation 4. Like you can't play your PlayStation 5 games on a PS4 Pro. It's just not going to happen. You can play your PlayStation 4 games on a PS5, but all the new games coming out, they're dropping PS4 and it's going to be PS5.
Yeah.
Which is fine because that's always worked out for them. But
They've done it every console generation, right? I mean, the PS4 couldn't play all PS3 games, but in most of them, right?
no, they actually didn't have any backwards compatibility for PlayStation 3. Besides, like
Hmm.
the fact that you can actually replay them, or PlayStation Now, you can stream them to your
Oh,
PS4.
okay. All right.
Um, So like they received some backlash for that, but like they've had better games. So like a lot of people just gravitated to PS4. Um,
Yeah,
now,
and Sony's going to do what they want
right,
because they're going to print money with whatever they release.
exactly. So like PlayStation's like set in stone. Like they're gonna sell consoles. They're gonna make like their base PlayStation fan base. Like they're gonna be satisfied. But the people who always wanted Xbox, who had to go over to PS4 to get the best experience, like how are they going to pull them back over to Xbox? Because you can't play Xbox Game Pass on a PS4. I'm sorry, on a PS5 or anything or anything PlayStation, and that's their big thing is like you pay $15 a month for Xbox Live and Xbox Game Pass, and you get to play all of our first party games day one, no extra charge.
Yeah.
And they have like a bunch of other indie games, other AAA games are on Xbox Game Pass too, which is great. But you need to bring people over. Like the people aren't going to buy an Xbox Series X for Game Pass, like because they're like, oh, you have like hundreds of games at launch. You're right, but what is optimized to give me the best performance on my Xbox Series X? And right now, I mean, they have a couple games, but like that's nothing compared to like PlayStation 5's lineup. And PlayStation just announced that Ratchet and Clank is going to be a launch title, which is huge.
Yeah, that's a big one. I don't know if it's necessarily console seller big, but it's a big one.
Right. Yeah.
But in some other news, the geez, I can't even think about what I was going to say. DC Fandome happened last Saturday. We put a little bit of the teasers in the YouTube video for the podcast.
Oh yes.
Last week, there's a lot of stuff announced, and I think we can kind of skim over them. We got a trailer for the Batman with Robert Pattinson, which looks awesome. We got the Suicide Squad game and kind of movie announced. With the game, you got a little bit of a kind of extended cutscene. So Suicide Squad killed the Justice League. So Steven was pretty dead on that. For the movie, it is a James Gunn Suicide Squad movie with really the only people returning are Captain Boomerang. I can't remember the guy who plays him. Harley Quinn, played by Margot Robbie. The military guy, can't remember his name because he's not important. And then Waller is played by Viola Davis, who's returning. But then you add in people like Pete Davidson, John Cena, Michael Rooker. Who else? There's some other like weirdly large names in there.
I honestly didn't look too much into the movies besides the Batman.
I think that's they also released a preview for Wonder Woman 84 or whatever they're calling it. That looks okay. Kristen Wiig as a supervillain kind of freaks me out a little bit because I think of her like as the Target lady from Saturday Night Live, or the Lady Ghost, or one of the Lady Ghostbusters from the bad Ghostbusters movie. Which I didn't mind that much because I'm pretty sure I saw that before I saw the original Ghostbusters. So,
oh man,
you can kind of crap on me for that opinion. And then they also announced, and I think the thing that I'm most excited about, video game wise, is Gotham Knights, which looks like a sequel potentially to the Arkham games, kind of in that same tone, like a spiritual successor to the Arkham games.
Yes, it's not a continuation though, but yes.
Okay, so it looks very like a spiritual sequel, I guess would be the way I would describe it. By the way, what I've seen, that has nothing to do with the Arkham games, but like the aesthetic of it, the kind of gameplay of it all looks very, very similar.
So I got more information on both of these games. I'll start with Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League. So that game is actually a continuation for the Arkham universe.
Huh.
So everything in that game that Rocksteady built is actually based off of the Arkham game.
Okay.
So, and they actually said there's a lot of story plots that were in Arkham, like Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, and Arkham Knight that are actually going to come to fruition in Suicide Squad.
Okay.
Now Batman's still dead from that game, but Arkham
I didn't even
Knight,
know he died in the game.
I can't remember if I think he does, and if you just beat the game, there's like a secret ending for Arkham Knight, but that game is so huge, I never beat it 100%.
All right,
Now,
I googled, does Batman die in Arkham Knight? Batman did not die, but Bruce did. You see at the
so
end of
he faked
Arkham
his
Knight.
death.
Yeah, you see at the end of Arkham Knight, he fears that he will lose the ones he loves. So no, Batman does not die, but Bruce does. He dies because he was corrupted by the Joker, and then was sealed away by Batman. Whatever that means, I don't know.
Okay, I'll have to look into that.
Yeah, we'll check back in next week if we remember.
And then for Gotham Knights, so this is its own story. And it is a timeline where Batman has died and the Bat family has to come kind of come together to face what's ever coming to the city, which obviously we've seen as the Court of Owls. I'm sorry.
Yeah, with the teaser at the end with the Talon and everything like that.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people going around saying that this game looks like it's going to be like a games as a service, like which would be like Destiny, and like a looter shooter type game.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, I'm reading an article right now here. It's on PC Gamer magazine, and it says that this game can in fact be played offline. It
Okay.
is not same screen co-op, but you are able to um, play this game online with friends. So two people, you can actually play this game with one other person. It's going to come out for PS4, Xbox One, and PC. And so if you looked at the gameplay, they currently have, well, I mean, so they have what do you want to call it, like a number based system for your enemies, like level 1, level 2, and then they have a health bar.
Mm-hmm.
So it does have RPG elements in the game, like progression wise, and like skill level, like with enemies. So a lot of people are like, well, yeah, Assassin's Creed does that, and how well is that going to fit in a Batman game? Because like with the Arkham games, you can go anywhere and beat anyone up at any point because like everyone's the same. It's just how many enemies are coming at you, and like there's a lot of special enemies in Batman, like
Yeah.
like ones with tasers, shields, or whatever, or just different way to take them down.
Tanks.
Right.
Yeah.
So my theory with this whole RPG system, I think this is a way for them to have an open world, but still make you go in a linear path for the story. You know, like hey, like you can go to this part of the city, but you're probably going to be taken down pretty fast. But I think they're doing that so like this is an easy way to keep both of you. Like if you have two players to go like on a single path for the story,
Yeah.
which I'm completely fine with. I'm more excited for Gotham Knights than I am Suicide Squad, and
I definitely agree.
I'm super excited to play this game.
As much as I like Harley Quinn, I also I like Batman. I began to like Harley Quinn from Batman, but really what got me into Batman was like that kind of Arkham Knight style in itself. And then, they introduced Robin and Nightwing in those Arkham games. And I mean, my mom still has a dog named after Nightwing Grayson. But yeah, I'm really excited about that. I'm excited for the Suicide Squad just because the studio that is making it, because of it's prolific. The games that they've made, especially with the Arkham games. But I think I'm definitely on your side with I'm more excited about Gotham Knights than Suicide Squad.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I'm actually really excited that this is coming to PC day one, because I don't think that I don't believe the Arkham games came out day one for PC. I think they were ported over.
Yeah, I believe so.
And it was really bad at first. They actually had to put out a lot of patches to make those games work really well for PC. So I'm glad to see that they're actually doing that, which I think means that they're confident that this game is going to do pretty well.
And you said they're coming to PS4 and Xbox One.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I think Gotham Knights. Actually, I think both of these games are going to be on the newer console. So
Okay.
I'm sorry. It's coming out for PS5, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X and PC.
Okay.
So this game is going to be for both Xboxes. However, PlayStation's only going to have it for 5. Because these are 2021 release dates.
Okay. That's what I was going to say.
I'm so sorry. I think Suicide Squad might be even later. I think that's a 2022.
Yeah, I know that one is still I mean, the last game that Rocksteady made was Arkham Knight, and I mean, granted, that's a huge game, but this means that this is either, especially if it's coming out in 2022, it's going to be a ginormous game, or they just started working on it and took a few years off.
Oh, they take their time.
Yeah. But in other sad news, passed away this week was Chadwick Boseman. Really known for playing. Yeah, I think I texted you last night about it. He's really known for playing, especially considering, this is a nerd podcast, Black Panther. But it's pretty sad. I didn't realize he was 43 years old, and to be completely honest, nobody really realized, what he passed away from until yesterday. Kind of kept it under wraps. Whenever I was introduced to him kind of first in the movie 42, whenever he portrayed Jackie Robinson, which is a great movie. So if you're not into nerd stuff and more into sports stuff, that is, a good way to kind of see his acting ability. But overall, he seemed like a very genuinely good person, and a very thoughtful and outreaching person. That did a lot for, the community in general, whether it's the Black community or the, nerd community. So it's kind of sad to see somebody like that gone.
And I completely agree. And I honestly didn't even know. I mean, I guess a lot of people didn't, but I had no clue he was sick. So just to see that, he's had, I think he passed away from colon cancer.
Yeah.
That's rough. I mean, it was nice to see that he was able to pass at home with his family by his side. But no, I mean, I feel so bad for his family. And this year just honestly has been terrible. This just doesn't make it any better.
Yeah, 2020 has been, I mean, I've only been around since 95. Or you've been around since 94, but only a month before me. This has been just not great.
No. Yeah, this year's been terrible.
Hopefully, some things change. But, we just kind of got to keep our heads up. Be smart, be safe, keep on, trucking along and doing what you can do, worrying about yourself. And, if you're going to, make a difference, do that, but do it safely.
Yeah.
But for kind of almost, let's kind of jump into Steven's favorite game favorite game ever this week. What do you want to talk about this week?
So new game wise, I think I've only really I played Battletoads. Um, that's probably my new game of the week that I played. Uh, so I really like that game. I do recommend. It's only $19.99. Like if you want to get it for your Xbox or it's on Steam too. You can purchase it on Steam. Um, trying to think. I have been
But I
playing. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, what I've seen of it, what the pretty short gameplay you sent me, with one of the toads having a diaper full of crap on.
So
Um,
funny.
just like in general, the dialogue and the gameplay, like it's very artistically, like I would say A plus. Um, humor, great. If I had the ability to play it, I'd be playing it. But I have a MacBook and a Switch, so that's kind of what I'm working with.
Yeah, it's I actually highly recommend that game. A lot of people are like, "Oh, it's okay." I mean, I had a blast with it. So if you're looking for some dumb, stupid fun, there it is. Um, I've been trying to dabble back into Destiny because I decided to not because you can like transfer your stuff over to they made it like cross save now, so you can play like the same profile on your Xbox, PlayStation, PC, pretty much anything that runs Destiny. You can use the same your same characters. Um, I chose not to do that, and I just want to kind of start fresh on PC. So I've been picking away at that, and I've I think I mentioned before I bought Control for my PC, so I
Mm-hmm.
have been trying to get. They just came up with a new DLC, and it ties in the Control universe with their previous game, Alan Wake, which I still have to play. I have it on here, but I have to play it. Um, but these are super narratively driven games, and they're so good. But like, the game was originally released for $59.99 everywhere, and they like on PC now. They have a Control Ultimate Edition, which includes all the DLC and stuff. Um, and right now you can buy it on Steam. It's only $39.99 and includes everything, which is cheaper than the normal game. So
That's pretty interesting, and especially, well, cheaper than a normal game. That is a big, I'm sure, selling point for a lot of people to get into it. Which,
yeah, in Steam for the first week, I only had it with 20% off too. So
huh. Oh, I mean, that's pretty good. And then, like we said earlier, there's going to be most likely a Battletoads video coming out on the Nerdologist channel, as well as a Control video coming out. Uh, so be patient; they're coming. But yeah.
So what you got going on in your collection corner?
So I didn't tell you about this. It's not necessarily about collections. It's kind of about collections. I have a weird fascination with McDonald's.
Yeah.
Um, I have always had a weird fascination with McDonald's. Whenever they announced the McDonald's Funko Pops coming out, I jumped on it like day of and pre-ordered them. I have a tin McDonald's lunchbox in my closet somewhere. Um, I don't know. It's just like kind of my comfort food, as weird as that is. But today, me and my girlfriend, we were trying to figure out what to kind of do. And then I remembered something. Did you know in North Huntington, Pennsylvania, a little bit outside of Pittsburgh, there is a Big Mac museum?
No.
Yeah, so we drove to the Big Mac museum today, um, which features, and I'll post pictures in the YouTube video, the world's largest Big Mac, which is just a sculpture of a Big Mac. It's not an actual Big Mac. And then kind of like it's a McDonald's. We literally drove to North Huntington for McDonald's, which is about 45 minutes out of our way. But they have like inside a bunch of and I'll say this right now, and I'm not sure if my girlfriend's going to listen to this. Thanks for putting up with this. I appreciate it and I love you. But they have like McDonald's memorabilia, like kind of classic, like, like almost like Happy Meal toys and, the original milkshake machines and everything like that in there.
Oh, that's cool.
We pull in and the inside's closed.
What?
Yeah, so we drove 45 minutes for me to get a Big Mac at the reason why it's a Big Mac museum is because that's where the guy who created the Big Mac, and I'll Google that right now, created the Big Mac, which is surprising. Michael James Jim Delegati. So a little outside of Pittsburgh is where the Big Mac was created. So we took a ride out there for it to only be closed. I have a picture, and I'll actually send it to you right now if you have your phone on you.
I do, yeah.
But I have pictures of the outside, pretty much, of the Big Mac Museum. And then we waited in the drive-thru for me to get a Big Mac, and I ate it in the car. And my girlfriend is gluten intolerant, so she didn't get anything, and I felt awful about it. But yeah, so I guess this week's collection corner is me talking kind of a little bit about my obsession with McDonald's, and I don't know where it came from. I maybe crawling around in the place whenever I was a kid after my mom, picked us up from school or whatever. But yeah, that's kind of.
Oh, this looks cool.
I mean, it is cool, and I know. And correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't both your parents work at McDonald's?
Yeah, that's where they met.
For some reason I knew that. I can cut that out of the podcast if you want. But yeah. So like, I don't know. It's a little strange. I always kind of, with the Funko stuff, the lunchbox. If I'm like, it's weird. If I'm feeling down or something, I'll go and get like a 10-piece nugget or something. I usually feel a little bit better after that. But yeah, so that's kind of, it's not necessarily collection based other than, collecting some McDonald's items. And if you have any McDonald's items the one that I'm trying to get, because I like to smoke cigars, is back in the day whenever you could smoke in the McDonald's restaurants, they had McDonald's branded ashtrays. I'm on the hunt for a glass McDonald's ashtray.
You know what? I think my great grandmother worked at McDonald's for years. If I can't obviously I can't get it anymore, but
yeah,
if I'm not mistaken, I think that I think she had one of those, because as soon as you said that, they like sparked in my mind, and I was like, oh,
they pop up on, and I don't know how you've been on it, but like I've become an eBay fiend. And I like check eBay all the time for, the fact that we have a segment and we're 3 weeks in and I've had something new to talk about every single time on Dylan's Collection Corner. Kind of shows how much time I either spend on eBay or hunting down stuff. But yeah, I've seen them come up on eBay a few times, but they're usually like $40. And to be frank, I don't want to pay $40 for an ashtray.
I don't blame
So I'm trying to look for a cheaper one, but I don't know. There's always been like some nostalgic value, and I think that it's like that dopamine hit that you get whenever like if you turn on Crash, and same with me actually with Crash. But if you turn it on, it's like, oh, this is great. Like I feel a lot better now already.
I typically do that. And for some reason, the first Crash game has been that for me for like the past couple years. Like that's like my go-to. Like I get in such a groove on that game where it makes me feel so much better because I have that memorized, and like I don't have to worry about anything. Like like I know it from the back of my hand.
Yeah, that has been Crash 2 for me for forever. Really, that was the first video game I ever played. Maybe we could dive deeper into that whenever it's kind of a slower news week, and this week was kind of a heavy news week, but
Yeah.
you know, our first games really, because you grew up with two older brothers that were playing video games before you were probably even born. So
Pretty much.
So kind of moving on from Dylan's collection corner, let's see what we got. I deleted the notes in my phone, but the one thing that
next day left is Nintendo games.
Yeah. There's no new Nintendo games for the rest of the year, it feels like. There was Animal Crossing in March.
Mm-hmm.
And since then, what has there been?
Gosh. I don't know. I don't think anything's coming out.
I mean, unless they do something big for Mario.
Let me Google that. Let me see.
Googling Nintendo Switch releases for 2020. So what I'm seeing, obviously Animal Crossing, The Outer Worlds, which came out, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, which came out, Animal Crossing came out. This is in order. And then you got Doom Eternal, which came out the same day as Animal Crossing.
Well, not in the Switch. It's not out yet.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
Huh. Okay. Doom 64, is that on the Switch yet?
That's out, yeah.
Okay. Trials of Mana that came out, Mana, Pokemon expansion packs, Gods and Monsters, no idea. Axiom Verge, no idea. Bravely Default 2, great. Deadly Premonition, okay. Hollow Knight, Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga. I'll probably actually pick that up if it comes to the Switch.
No, it looks like it is.
What was that?
Wait, you talking about the Skywalker Saga?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's definitely.
But it's not a first-party Nintendo title, which Nintendo has been on the track to release 2 to 4, I guess, first-party titles each year. Before Animal Crossing, we had Luigi's Mansion 3.
Yeah, I have because on my list, did you mention the WWE 2K Battlegrounds?
Yeah, I'd rather not. I'm trying to think of how to say it without dropping expletives, or making this an explicit episode. Yeah, I am a wrestling fan. I will not be buying that game. I will not be playing that game. And to be frank, if that game never came out, I wouldn't be bothered by it because it looks ugly as sin.
It looks like the closest thing they have to like a first party, like Cadence of Hyrule.
Yeah,
which is based off of an indie game. They have a DLC coming out in October.
Okay.
Yeah, like November they have Just Dance 2021, Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memory, which that's not even a full Kingdom Hearts game. That's actually a mobile game that's getting ported over to Switch. So that's a slap in the face.
You know what? I'm wrong. The last first party game that was made by a different company anyway is Paper Mario Origami King.
Yeah, like literally, like these are
great.
You mentioned a lot of these games already, but like the upcoming 2020 Switch with no release dates, like Boyfriend Dungeon, what the hell is that? Axiom Verge,
Pokemon 2. Snap.
Is that for this year?
It's gonna be next year.
Yes, I think that's for next year. But like Doom Eternal, I don't think that's coming this year. Flat out, I do not think that's coming this year.
I have a weird feeling it's not coming at all.
It'll come because they've like it was near completion last year when it came out.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, March 20th. I'm sorry. It was near completion, but it's not where they wanted it to be. So they have too much money into it already, and people pre-ordered it. So I think that'll still come out, but I do think it's gonna be next year.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, they really got to show something for. I'm looking at PocketLint.com, which I've never heard of. They need to show something for Breath of the Wild 2. At the minimum, they need to show something for Bayonetta 3.
Mm-hmm.
And then Metroid Prime 4, which they announced at 2017 E3?
They did, but then they completely
And they
restarted
scrapped
the
it.
development cycle. Yeah, so that's
It's
gonna be like 2022, hands down.
It's sick. It's sickening, and that, I mean,
they actually need that. What they need to do for that game to sell well at this point is they need to come out with a Metroid Prime trilogy remaster for the Switch. They need to, because otherwise that game is not going to sell well.
Yeah, you could have said, like, I whenever I saw that, I'm like, oh, I guess that's still coming, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the way I kind of see it is the last game I bought for my Switch was Animal Crossing, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Animal Crossing game that came out before that was for the Wii. And then if I think back further, Luigi's Mansion 3, and the game before that came out for the 3DS.
I thought the 3DS was the one before Horizons.
It was the Happy Home designer. So if you count that, I guess this is my first Animal Crossing game, so I'm not too sure, but I know Happy Home designer or whatever is just kind of like an interior design game.
Huh.
So I don't know who counts that as. I mean, I guess technically it's an Animal Crossing game, right?
Yeah.
But then before that, if you really think about it, you have Odyssey, and the game that came out before that was Mario 3D World, so Wii U game. Have Breath of the Wild, which the game came out before that, other than a port of not Skyward Sword, because that came out for the Wii. But you got the port of Twilight Princess to the Wii U. And then before that, you got Splatoon 1 and Splatoon 2. You know, obviously they're not doing anything with ARMS. Smash Brothers, I guess, according to my brother, has a bunch of more DLC coming out. Fantastic. I'm not playing
it. No, I literally played that game for like a week or so, and then I was like, yeah, I'm not into it. I can't.
At this point, you could give me, like, Let's Go Pikachu number 2, and I'd probably pick it up.
Yeah, I can't tell you that I have any ambition to buy another Switch game until Breath of the Wild 2 comes out. Like, there's like nothing to draw me back to it, you know, and that sucks to say.
I think for me, they have to add more to the SNES on there, or they have to add more to the NES even, or something. But they did with the Breath of the Wild, you know, it's coming out on the Wii U, don't worry. And then it's like, by the way, we're pushing back that date. It's going to co-release on both the Wii U and the Switch, or the NX at the time. Yeah. And then you see how well it did on the Switch or on the Wii U, and it didn't do well. So I think Nintendo, if they keep up this attitude and this kind of stagnation, I guess would be the right word, there's not going to be another Nintendo console.
No. I think
I can pretty confidently say that.
I know they're not going to do this, but what they need to do is just come out with a more powerful Switch.
Like a Switch 2.
Or just keep it branded the Switch, just come out with a more powerful console. Because, like, think about it. They won't do this, but I think this is smart. Like, in my opinion, I like the fact that these that these companies are doing mid-generation upgrades. I don't really think that's going to exist this time, because the PS5 and the Xbox Series X are going to be pretty powerful.
Yeah.
But like, for instance, like, if you have a Switch now, it's natively 720. The handheld can run 720p up to 60 frames a second, and then it does 1080p docked with up to 60 frames a second.
Yeah.
And not all games are going to hit that because companies don't want to spend that much money developing for the system or porting to. Now, what they should do is they should have because I mean, who knows when or if they're going to come out with a new console. So I think they should just upgrade the Switch. And I'm not saying it anytime soon, but like when it starts to die down, they can go bam, come out with a handheld that's going to run 1080p resolution, maybe make it a little bit bigger, whatever people are looking for. And then they should also, when it's docked, it should be able to run 4K.
That would make too much sense for Nintendo to do it, but I definitely agree.
Because, I mean, that and maybe a better online service. But
yeah,
but just imagine having a Switch, because NVIDIA is like, it was just released the other day, I think. So I'll have to see where I found it. Everyone's talking about it on YouTube, but NVIDIA is actually making a new graphics card for the Switch.
Okay.
So there's something in the works, but a lot of people are thinking that it's just going to be.
Was that Dude Soup?
They did talk about it.
Well, I guess whenever, and I'm sorry for interrupting you, but I guess whenever they release the Switch Lite, and I know you got your fiance that, and they released this kind of Switch,
the version 2.
Yeah, like that didn't do anything for me. You know, we talked about getting my girlfriend the Switch Lite. I know you got your fiance it, but there's no need for us to get it. At least I know you guys like your video games. My girlfriend, she just wants to play Animal Crossing, and she plays on mine anyway. So it doesn't attract a lot of people.
So like for me, like I'm not going to go out of my way to get another Switch, to be honest. But my battery life on the one I have now sucks. I play it for about an hour or so, and it goes down to like 20%.
I never take mine out of the dock.
I see, like I mainly play mine handheld, but the whole thing, like, I don't know, it doesn't sit well with me because like I think what they're gonna do with this new graphics card or like an updated one, I literally think it's just gonna be like an updated version of the console, like they did with the new battery life, like the version 2, like the one that's in the red box. It's literally all that's different. It has a new battery in it, and it lasts longer. Is that the best Switch to go out and get? Yeah, it is. But I think they're going to do the same thing. It's just going to be like a minor tweak, and they're just going to sell it as a Switch.
And then on top of that, Nintendo doesn't care about the pots reselling these, so they're cashing out anyway. So I think they're pulling a Sega, unfortunately, and just gonna be like, oh, you know what? We're just gonna make games for Microsoft and Xbox, which sucks because then if I'm buying another console other than Switch, I'm buying a PlayStation. Personally, I'm not gonna buy the Xbox Series X. That's gonna cost me way too much. But if you're gonna tell me the only way I can play Mario is that, I might have to say goodbye to Mario, unfortunately. As much as I like, you know, my Nintendo games, I love Legend of Zelda. That's probably my number 2 favorite game after Crash Bandicoot. I'd have to say goodbye to it because there's no way in heck I am buying 2 consoles just so I can play Nintendo games on an Xbox.
You know, Dylan, it's okay because we're a couple months away from getting these consoles released, and we still don't know the prices of them. So that's fine.
Yeah. So speaking of, I guess the potential of playing Mario on an Xbox, what has been the progression of Super Mario World?
There isn't any.
Okay. So that's going to be it for the 3rd episode of the NERDCAST. Do you have any parting words?
Be safe out there, and don't be afraid to reach out to your friends. There's games online for a reason.
Absolutely. You know, if you want to give us a review here on Apple Podcasts, which I keep on calling it iTunes, and my girlfriend's like, "You're like way too old. It's Apple Podcasts. They really don't do iTunes anymore." But yeah, I agree with that sentiment. If you need something, reach out to your friends, play some games with them, hang out, be safe, and have a great rest of your week. We'll be back next week with episode 4.
Yeah. Bye, everyone.
See you guys.